Misconceptions about Las Vegas. You hear about cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, Philly, Detroit, so on and so forth. But when you hear about Vegas, you think about casinos, fights, stuff like that. But in reality, there's a side of Vegas that's really not too known. And I come from that side, the west side, the historic west side. My name is Elbert Stewart. I went by the street name Demon, War Demon, or Little Sheepdog. I am the son of the founder of the first and oldest game in Las Vegas, which would be Herbert Gershon Park. I'm doing this because I promised him that I would bring my life story, whether to a book, to an audience, I have. And to give you a rough draft of who I am, let me just start by saying, you're not looking at a guy that's coming to give kudos to stupidity. That's not my intentions. My intentions is to share with you the experience, mostly bad, traumatic things that I went through being the son of a leader of a gang. And I spent most of my youth in and out of institutions for various crimes, mostly weapons charges. I'm very known in the criminal justice system, and I'm known to be violent, unfortunately. I'm going to share all that with you step by step. I transitioned from juvenile to the penitentiary system at the age of 17 for gang-related murder. I ended up doing a very long time in there, 20 years. So I have a lot of stuff to share with you from the streets and from the penitentiary. But let me first give you a little input about the area I come from. Herbert Gershon is a projects that was located on the west side of Las Vegas, which would be Martin Luther King, Lake Mead, Comstock, and Belzar. It was built in 1964. Although it's the oldest gang, it's not the oldest neighborhood. That would be Marble Manor. That was put up in 1953. Okay? But the area that I come from, before gangs ever set foot in Vegas, you had entities like the Byron Boys, which was just, black women and men who just hung out and drunk. They didn't have no violent element or no gang element to them. You had people like the Funkadelics, who were basically the same thing. They were non-violent. But when my dad came about, and the reason why I say my dad is the founder of the first gang, he was an associate. That was the name of his gang. Okay? And the reason why he was more of a gang member and gang leader than the other ones is because he brought the violent element to that. He was one of those guys that came to parties and turned them out. He brought violence to the element. And he became a legend. And he became known for fighting. Doolittle, which is a historic community park over here, he had most of his fights over there. When I was a little kid, I remember he used to carry me on his neck, and I used to go to his fights with him. Everybody that was supposed to be a tough guy from whatever neighborhood, if you was tough back then, you had to fight my dad, and he was a ferocious dude. I went through a lot of things a little kid shouldn't have to go through, being with him. When I was born, my mom's, and not to, get too much into that, but when I was born, my mom ended up staying in the hospital for whatever reason. And my dad ended up taking me home. My daddy had me for the first 4 years of my life. It was just me and him. And the things that he was going through, I was right there with him going through it. So I had front row seats since I was born into this lifestyle. You know, I was raised in it. You know, and there were incidents like one day when my I was at I was about 6 years old, and I was in the living room playing around, and me and my grandma was making breakfast, and I had an auntie. She was up walking around. The police kicked in the door, bust my head wide open. I was bleeding like a stuck pig, and my daddy came from the back, seeing my face, and went crazy. They beat the brakes off the police up in there. But that was the type of stuff that I was exposed to as a little kid, you know, and the respect my father had, because my father was probably one of the first dude, if not the only dude that I know of that was actually 86 out of the state of Nevada. In 1979, they kicked him out of the state of Nevada because he was just too much to deal with, you know. So I'm gonna have to get into that piece by piece. The stories I have to tell you are gonna be worth hearing. You're gonna want to stick around. You know, I'm not coming on this internet to glorify gang violence. I'm finna bring exposure to Vegas. A lot of people don't know about that. Now, to give you more input about Vegas, yes, we have gangs out here. You have the GPKs, which is where I come from, Herbert Gershon Park Kingsmen. We're neither Crip nor Blood. You know, we precede Crips and Bloods. We never had a handle like that. We're not Crips or Bloods. We wear green and black. Our neighborhood colors are red, green, and black. We wear green and black, symbolic of our neighborhoods. We don't wear red because we're not Bloods. But we tend to get along more with Bloods than we do Crips. And it didn't always been that way, but it's like more toward that way now. You have gangs like Donna Street Crips, which is another uh, organic gang from Vegas. You have the Rolling 60 Crips out here, Northtown Gangster Crips. You have the Hood, which is a blood gang, the oldest blood gang. You have Pyrus. You have what is West Coast Bloods, the Brownie Boys, 40 Block, K9, Sydney Sioux Gangster Crip, Bonanza Village Gangster Crips. You have 3 Streets. You have White Street. You have Delmonico, BTDs. You have Vegas Heights, Rolling 50s. You know, you have Burgundy Square Pyru. So you have gangs out here in Vegas, and you know, it got real bloody. And I'm gonna go over that with you, but when we go over is the consequences, because I've been through hell from smoking PCP at the age of 12. You know, from being caught with so many guns on different occasions. I've been caught with 5 guns on 5 different occasions, and I'm going to explain each one to you, because on 3 of them, the police could have actually killed me. They could have killed me, and it would have been justified. So I want to get into that because, you know, I know looking at my life and comparing it to what's going on today, I mean, we probably can find a lot of solutions, because a lot of kids, you know, that's dying like they are today, you know, we wasn't dying like that, even though we was out here doing a bunch of killing. We wasn't dying, you know, so recklessly out here like that. But when I come back, chapter 1 is going to bring my upbringing as a kid. You know, it was so much confusion being the son of the legendary Sheepdog. And that name right there is legendary out here, just like Bugsy Siegel name is legendary out here in the streets. My father name is legendary. So being his son growing up, I witnessed a lot of stuff, from drinking Ripple as a little kid, from being in the car with him when he drag raced, from being around him in shootouts, from being with him when he got ran over, from being on the scene right there, standing over him when he got shot in the neck by my own uncle. You know, I've been through so much stuff with him being my father. I don't hate him. You know, unfortunately, he just passed away at the beginning of this year, toward the beginning of this year. I just lost my father, you know, but I'm going to share my life story. I'm not doing this for no audience. If one person hears my story, hey, great. I'm doing it because I want people to take a look at what we have become as a people. And I want to be one of the ones that help put us back together, man. I know where the pieces go. I'm really from the streets. You're looking at a dude that done 5 years in the whole 18 months in the whole. I fought every goon squad in the state of Nevada. I done been in every prison in the state of Nevada that I was qualified to go to because I was so bad. I was not qualified to go to some prisons. So you're looking at a guy that really was at the really in the midst of that. I'm a real known individual out here, and yes, I was an ex-reputable gang member. I was very known. I was very ferocious, and I want to share my life story with you, man. And hopefully, you can bring your child and let them hear it, because I'm not gonna glorify nothing. What they're gonna get is uncut versions of consequences from somebody that suffered from it. You looking at this right here, that's a stab wound from prison, gang riot, everything, all my tattoos, all over everything you see is how I lived, raw, rough. So join me for chapter 1, which is going to be my upbringing from the ground up. Thank you for your support. Hopefully we can put something in perspective, and if anybody out there that can help me, like, as far as bringing this to a book, I would greatly appreciate it, because once you hear what I got to say, and once you hear how much I got to say, you're gonna ask me why I haven't been put it in the book, because it's so much. But we're gonna start at my upbringing, me as a kid, from where I can pick off and what I remember. Okay, it's not gonna be pleasant, but I'm gonna be honest, and if you join me, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth the while. It's gonna be worth the ride. I promise you, from the ground up. The saga begins.